No, I think everyone is well. We have one more training, but today I think the rest of the guys are ready to go.
Does that mean De Ligt and Maguire could feature?
No,
Okay.
I'm saying that the nobody recover, nobody's out. Just the guys that you already know.
You've been asked a lot about Kobbie Mainoo in recent press conferences. It's kind of unavoidable to not ask you again in the wake of his half brother wearing a free Kobbie Mainoo t-shirt. Did you see that? Have you spoken to Kobbie about it?
No, it was not Kobbie that wear the t-shirt. He's not going to start because of the t-shirt, but he's not going to the bench because of the t-shirt. He's going to play if we feel that he's the right guy to play. So that is not an issue. I'm used to. I'm here for a year. It's not new. So we have to deal with that. But I'm not going to do something to Kobbie because someone on his family is doing something. It's going to be the same. If he's the right guy to play, he's going to play.
Stu? Hi, Ruben. In terms of this game, Villa obviously won, I think, 9 on the bounce, 15 out of 17. Do you think they are genuine Premier League title contenders?
Yeah, everything can happen. I think they have a manager with a lot of experience. You can see when you watch the Villa play, you can sense that he's a very mature team. Understands that he doesn't panic when he's losing. He doesn't feel overwhelmed when he's winning. He can control the emotion all the time, and I think they are a very strong team. If they are going to fight until the end, I don't know, but they are capable of that.
In terms of United, at the moment, only City, I think, have scored more goals. You've probably conceded more than you wanted to. How do you find the balance between attack and defence?
We watched the game again against Bournemouth. We can avoid that goals. Was a lot of transition. We have to put everything on the line when we are defending, and sometimes we are not doing that. We need to work on some details to suffer less goals, because in the end, it's going to make the difference.
Yeah. Afternoon, Ruben. Not to go back to Kobbie, but have you had conversations with him about this situation, and how has he been this week? Because it comes off the back of him actually playing the most minutes he has in recent weeks.
And he played really well. So that is the important thing. And then my office is always open. Nobody went there this week, so I think everything is normal. We are ready to go to Villa.
And you talked about being at the club for a year and having to deal with situations like this. I mean, how have you found that off the back of also this week? Bruno's interview from a few weeks ago came out with some quotes. I know he did another interview with the club as well, with Rio Ferdinand, but it's just another situation that I suppose you have to deal with.
The difference is that he spoke with the club before that interview, and he said what is feeling. Of course, we can avoid these things because we already know the noise. But he talked with the board, and I think everything is clear.
One of the things that he did say in the interview that he did with the Portuguese Federation was that he didn't think that everybody defended the club the way that he does. That almost as though some people don't care as much as he does. Is that fair, do you think?
I don't know. It's fair. He just spoke about what is his feelings, and he needs to answer to that. It's not me. I think he is an example that he gives everything. He puts everything on the line in every training, in every match. And in that department is special. So I think he has that feeling. We need to step up and to have also that feeling. So we need to ask him, because I think he's a big example in the group.
I mean, because he's the captain, he's the biggest person in the dressing room. It would be a concern if that was really what he felt.
He spoke his feelings, and I think when I watch Bruno training and playing, he's a special character. And I think the numbers, the amount of games, everything prove that is a different player.
Right. Hi, Ruben. When we saw you in the summer in Chicago, you talked about organising a leadership group because there were things last season that ended up on your desk that perhaps you didn't want to end up on your desk, that they could just be solved in the dressing room. Is this issue with Kobbie one of those things that you don't necessarily have to get involved, but maybe the leadership group pull into one side and just say, look, like...
No, it's continue a little bit, everything on my desk. Every problem in our football club is still me that has to deal with that, but this will take time. But again, my door is always open, and it was not Kobe. The job of Kobe is to train it to play. I felt that he did really well this game. So that is the most important thing for me. If he has to play, he's going to play. If he's not going to play, he's not going to play.
And I don't know if you saw Chido Obi and Harry Amas post on social media. I mean, what do you make of that? It seems quite petty.
I think it's the feeling, a little bit the feeling of entitlement that we have in our club. And sometimes strong words is not bad words. Sometimes difficult moments is not the bad things for the kids. We don't need to be always with accolades in everything, in every situation. We are not helping. That's why you guys talk about a lot of players nowadays that they speak and they go against the clubs and everything happened because they feel entitlement. And then you have legends of the club saying that if you don't play, leave because everyone is wrong. No, let's think about, let's stay, let's fight, let's overcome. Maybe the manager is wrong. So I have that feeling all the time that we need to fight against this feeling. And again, sometimes I'm the first one to say that I'm failing this club inside the pitch. I have that feeling. We are not performing the way we should be. But outside the pitch, I guarantee you I'm not failing to this club. So I think it's something in our club, and we talk about the players sometimes forget about what it means to play for Manchester United. We as a club sometimes forget who we are, and that's the feeling that I have. So I understand everything. Is the environment, is the moment of the players, the kids. They feel entitled. They feel free to respond the manager with a picture. My office is open. Nobody is coming to talk to me, and that is the way we can solve things. So I think we need to change first as a club, and then everything is going to change.
Absolutely. Well, they'd be in the bottom reaches, possibly
in the relegation battle.
In the relegation battle last season. So he understands how to play up his value and to maybe get people appreciating. Maybe he's after a long-term contract. That's just my opinion. I don't know that to be the case, but. It's interesting because United are contradicting everything he's saying and saying, we want to keep him, we're not going to let him go. But then this is United who were saying in the summer, we don't want to let Kobe Mainoo go, we want to keep him. Now they say it would take an exceptional offer to let him go. So who do you believe?
Well, and also out of this interview, it emerged reportedly that Bruno's wife had basically questioned him one day and said, look, if you did leave Old Trafford, would you be happy with your lot there and what you'd achieved? And he sort of reflected on it and thought, an FA Cup and a League Cup, no. So what is within his grasp as United captain, especially when you look at how long he's been there, how many games he's played? He's hardly missed a game, Glenn.
Yeah, I mean, he has been the driving force. Whether he's the person to continue to take Manchester United on, I don't think you can disregard his quality and what he has done in the Manchester United shirt in what has effectively been a bad era for the football club. But when I get a look at him, I don't know if he leads by example. You're surrounded by a lot of young men. There's a lot of arm waving, which...
From him?
Yes, which can be confidence destroying for people that are stepping into Manchester United. It's hard enough, I think. I think he's revelled in being the kind of the one that everyone looks towards. But whether that is going to be the future, I'm very
So good. I'm interested, just because two slightly different answers. I mean, in terms of his quality, for example, do you think that Bruno Fernandes gets, or Darren, do you think Bruno Fernandes gets in every Premier League side?
No.
Based on what you've seen this season?
No, I don't. Right. I think he's a terrific player. The numbers bear that out. But I'm with Glenn. I think there are elements of his game. There is too much arm waving. There is too much losing his cool when the chips are down. A colleague of mine pointed out that a lot of his yellow cards tend to come within the shadow of half-time. If United are behind and he's waving his arms and he's complaining
I agree with the arm waving, but not this season. Do you think that's still happening? I think he's emerging more of a leader.
You're closing the parameters up. The bottom line is his quality good enough to get into every
most assists and most chances created this season. That's
most
a stat.
Most sides. But if you look at sides like Arsenal, if you look at sides like Manchester City, I would even argue Liverpool. I don't think Liverpool would slop.
You wouldn't get him. You wouldn't put him in this season instead of Florian Wirtz.
Florian Wirtz is an outstanding footballer who was part of a side that
this season. What we've seen in a Liverpool shirt.
Yeah, but Liverpool don't listen. Liverpool look at the longer term. They don't look at the short term. They don't look at what you've done over 3 or 4 months. They look at what you've done over 2 or 3 years. And that's what Florian Wirtz has done. So I think it's a very reductive argument to say, would he get in?
But
on
my point is saying that he's always
months?
amongst the top goal scorers for his club, and actually assists, he's right at the top of the charts from all 20 Premier League clubs. And
that's why he's a fantastic player. But I think it doesn't help anyone to go to extremes. And I think that's what you're doing.
So could be a cracking game, this one. Unai Emery spoke about the need to continue to be consistent.
Always we are ready to work better and more to improve things. And when I speaking about our demands is try to analyze each match deeply, and even winning, playing and performing well collectively and individually, we can get better. And this is our demand. And of course, how we can be consistent is our priority. And our priority is to win on Sunday, knowing and respecting them and being humble.
Darren Lewis, the voice of football, the voice of team talks, the face of team talks. Here's my first big question for you, my friend. Should we be considering Aston Villa as serious title contenders?
I'm surprised we're not, because they have momentum, which is what you need to be a team in a title race. They've got a manager who is used to dealing with the big occasion, with teams that are underrated, clubs that are underrated. Think about what he did with Villarreal. Think about what he did with Sevilla, winning the old UEFA Cup, which we now call the Europa League. And he's a guy who improves players that he works with. And when you look at Villa, when you look at what they did in the cup competitions last season, when you look at where he picked them up from as well, near the relegation zone, outside the relegation zone on goal difference, undefeated at home since the end of August, 10 wins from their last 11 in the Premier League, 9 wins in a row in all competitions. How can you not look at a side like that with the momentum they have, their goal-scoring ability? You cannot shut one player down and believe you have stopped Aston Villa. And I think when you look at this game and you look at the fact that Manchester United have got 1 clean sheet all season, you called it a 8-goal thriller. It was an 8-goal exhibition of why Manchester United are a spent force at the moment. The numbers around them are supposed to be positive, totally unrepresentative of how much of a mess they are. They are the complete opposite to Aston Villa.
So are they in the race, Glenn? I mean, here's another question. Has the race even started after 16 games?
Yeah, I think that's more the question. What I would say is that they're in the conversation, and it's kind of the face-off at the minute before the title race begins. But when I look at what Emery's done, it's super impressive. Brought a couple of on-loan stars in towards the end of last season, and they left, Asensio and Rashford, obviously. And I feel as though over the summer there wasn't much squad churn. There was a bit of worry. Maybe things had gone stagnant at Aston Villa. The first 5 games suggested that. But for a manager to be able to kind of handle that situation, that pressure, that expectation on the group, and then go on a run like he has now, I think he's fantastic. And also, you mentioned when he came in, they didn't have an identity.
No.
He gave him identity.
Absolutely.
Ollie Watkins wasn't scoring goals at this point in Aston Villa shirt. Now he's made him an England number 9. So it just shows...
And actually, he's had a poor season numbers-wise by his standard. If they are where they are, if he starts clicking in...
Well, that's the point, you see. He is not scoring goals as regularly as we expect him to, and yet other players are stepping up, taking responsibility. Emery has solved the defensive problems that they've had, because at the start of the season they couldn't basically keep clean opposition sides. But I want to make a more general point, because... You know, I work in an industry that shapes opinion, and very often a big part of the reason why you would ask a question is because we are used to the superpowers contesting the title. Arsenal, Liverpool, City, the clubs with the cash. And we're not used to someone coming up on the rail. So when a Leicester does it, we think, oh my gosh, or an Aston Villa, which is a mid-ranking side. Everybody knows the history of Aston Villa. And I think we need to condition ourselves into not assuming it's always going to be the clubs.
You know, still spent 50 million on Onana, Watkins, over the years.
Yeah, but in relative terms, their spending is nowhere near. And if you think about the summer, they had to sacrifice players. They couldn't go into the market.
Jacob Ramsey going to Newcastle.
Exactly. And they would have wanted to go into the market and buy players that would have enabled them to keep a Rashford, to keep other players who they otherwise would not have had to sort of go to other clubs.
You know, last second of added time in the first half, and then ended up winning 4-3. You know, they did the same against West Ham at the weekend, didn't they? And you look at their bench, or the finishers as now people call them, there's Champions League players on that bench. Donyell Marlin coming off there, and they've got the squad. So what, you know, if they are lacking anything, Glenn, what is it with a manager like Emery?
Well, I think what he says is consistency. He doesn't want to go in behind in games. He does build character, and he builds togetherness without doubting a squad. But when I look at Aston Villa, what I really like is that they had kind of a streamlined attack a couple of years ago with Duran and Watkins. And when one wasn't firing, the other one was firing. And when one was playing, the other one was putting pressure on to start games. I feel as though they're getting back to that now with Marlon and Watkins. And then obviously we've just shown Morgan Rogers there, and what a super
The West Ham.
talent.
By the way, it's 15 points from losing positions.
Which is a
most
good
in the
thing.
league.
Which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing when you're talking about title contenders. You want to be controlling games more, and I think I was really interested to hear what Unai Emery said there about being humble, because when they're getting a lot of plaudits at the minute, we talk about the last 10 games and what they've done, and are they in a title race? Well, now is what matters.
Well, I mean, that's the run, isn't it? I mean, the green is what we should be looking at, because I think as far as they are concerned, they've beaten the lower ranking sides.
Only lost the champions on that list.
They've only lost to the champions, and I think I agree with everything that you're saying. I think that ability, what they've got to now cut out is the falling behind. They've got to cut out the conceding of the goals. I totally agree with that. But again, I think having that best comeback record in the Premier League will serve them well, because one of the other characters you need in a side competing, not just for a title, but for cups, is character. And that's what, listen, I have to defer to you on that, because that's what you need if you are going to be a side that is going to aspire to being in the business end of the conversation.
And the guy that spearheads that is Unai Emery, who we should be giving flowers to, right? I mean, where does he sit, do you think, Glenn, in terms of why are you smiling? Why are you grinning?
Because I'm looking forward to the question.
Well, no, you know where I'm going with this. I think, for example, if in a completely another world that Unai Emery left Aston Villa, there would be clubs, would there not, of the size of Real Madrid and Barcelona and Manchester United potentially down the road. I mean, look at the job he's done there. Darren touched it about 5 minutes or so ago. Steven Gerrard came in after Dean Smith, and the club was at a pretty low ebb at that stage. Look at what he's picked up, the pieces that he's picked up and where he has taken them to in the Champions League, the squad that he's assembled. And here we are 3 years later, quite rightly.
I think he's been regarded as an elite manager in European football, without doubt. When you mention the names you mentioned there, the top clubs, I definitely think there will be a lot of interest when Unai Emery does decide to leave Aston Villa. Listen, he had a little spell at Arsenal, didn't he? And that was kind of his first chance at a big Premier League club, and it didn't quite go to plan. Listen, I don't think that kind of it coincided with money being at Arsenal. There was the building of the Emirates just off the back of that. So
and he was the man after the man, wasn't he?
He was the man after the man, and it wasn't a great time to take that appointment. So I think a lot of people disregarded him from that, even though he got them to a European final. Whereas now, I feel as though he's re-established himself, rebuilt his career.
And so to interrupt you there, and he was made a bit of a joke figure, let's face it, so unfairly, because of his use of the English language.
And the irony of that is he's a guy who is multilingual. You know, this is a highly intelligent guy, very skilled. He's worked in lots of different countries because he has that skill set. So the idea that you would deride him for his linguistic skills is laughable. I think the interesting thing about the graphic we just saw is that if you take out PSG, Sevilla and Villarreal were both underrated sides. Villarreal in particular, they were a side made up of players that other Premier League clubs didn't want. And yet he was able to achieve success with them. And if you look at Aston Villa, they're clearly not a side of cast-offs, but they are an underrated side. And I think he likes it best when he is in charge of a side that doesn't have that much expectation.
Unfortunately, when you do it at sides like that, that's when the big guys come knocking. And I think personally now he's primed for a top job. After that stint at Arsenal, after what he's done in the interim, and we can see what he's won, I feel now...
Can I ask you though, Glenn, would you think he would want to go to a top club? And second of all, what does constitute a top job? Because he can do what he likes at Aston Villa. They know what they have, so he gives him. They give him that freedom. If you go to a top club,
he didn't have much
they don't necessarily
play this summer.
Well, no, that was because of their financial constraints. It was nothing to do with him wanting a player and them saying you can't have it. It was basically you can have it, but we'll break the rules and it would hurt us in the longer term. But I think now that they're getting back onto a stable financial footing, they might well be able to. So I suppose my question is, and you being a player, you might have been in that situation before. Is it better to be at a club where you're going to play every week, or a club where you've got competition? Is it better to be a manager where you can do what you like, or go to a club where you've got constraints? You can't go and get that player. There's a committee, there's a chief scout, there's a tech director. There's all these people who say, no, we don't want that player. We want to get this higher caliber player.
I think any professional, whether it's a player or a manager, in the...
One last thing on United. Kobbie Mainoo's brother's T-shirt. Do we have a problem with that?
I've seen that.
Do we think that puts pressure on Kobbie?
You know,
I'm going to say two things here. One,
but there's so many silly things going on with footballers there.
I agree, Roy.
Jumping on it. It's just silly headlines.
You know what he does? Can I just say with the T-shirt? When I started, you don't need that. When you've got Paul Scholes, iconic player, United, fighting your case, Nicky Butt fighting your case, saying, you know what I mean, he's lost 18 months of development. You know, what I look back at with Kobbie Mainoo is that when Ruben Amorim came in, first thing you started to hear the rumours was, yeah, he's getting rid of Garnacho, he's getting rid of Mainoo. So you look at where we are now, and you think, why didn't they then sign him up to a deal, Kobbie, because he's not playing, he's not going to play, sign him up to a deal, send him out on loan, and at least build the asset. Why wouldn't you do something like that instead of like just continue not playing him? He's losing value, and now what? He's going to go on loan in January.
His value won't drop that much, Roy. It does still be. No, I still think if someone wants.
You don't think that somebody like now, Roy, if he was playing out on loan now, doing what? Like, let's say he goes and does a Scott McTominay, bam, he's gone through the roof in respects of what he's worth. Why aren't Man United doing that? Why didn't they do that? They've known a long time.
But he's still getting his moments. He came on the other night. I don't think his value's dropping that much.
He's not getting enough moments where he can.
When he came on the other night, from a football point of view, he looked neat and tidy. And he looked sharp, I thought, in fairness to him. But I don't think his value's going to drop that much. If the manager's not having him and come the summer, you go, OK, we'll cash in on him.
So what if Kobbie runs down his contract now? What if he runs down his contract now? Are we going to get the...
I feel
he's going to get the shit.
I feel he was probably right to want to get out if he knew that he wasn't going to get a chance and to go and get football ahead of a World Cup year when England haven't got a lot of players in that position. So I think he was right to want to go and get football.
Yeah.
I agree.
Get football at the club you're at.
Yeah, but if you think about
he's not got a chance there.
So, Roy, I think one thing
he looks like somebody that does. It's not like we're reading about him. Oh, he's.
Can I tell you something, right? You know, football.
He's been very quiet.
You know, in football sometimes, people talk about challenges. You need to go out and loan, and that's worked out for loads of players. But sometimes at Man United, if you're youngest, the challenge is right in front of you. It's not at another club.
But Roy, there was a killer.
Roy can't see it with this manager.
No, there was a killer statement made by Amorim, I think, on Mainoo, which I think
he's come up with lots of daft
No,
stuff.
but his statement was that it's Agati or Casemiro, it's Bruno or Kobbie. He sort of said that in a press conference.
He's putting Mainoo up against Bruno.
No, but when you put because he's going to play two in there. When you say you're up against Bruno always is going to play, plays every match. Yeah. So in fact, he was actually telling Kobbie at the time, you're not going to play, basically. So I get Kobbie's point of view that he's like, hang on a minute, if I can play alongside Bruno, great. But if it's me or him, he's always going to play. He's brilliant.
But what's football about? What's the life of a professional footballer? Is most of it you're trying to prove people wrong. And
how's he going to do that with Bruno, though, Roy?
But Bruno might get injured. You never know. You never know why. There was chat about Bruno leaving in the summer. Bruno might leave next summer. So you bide your time as a young player. I have no problem players going out on loan. It can work for everybody. But sometimes a player, as I said, the biggest challenge, everyone thinks, you need to go there. No, your biggest challenge is here at Man United. Get into that first team. Even if the manager says, you're not going to get out of Bruno, you're not going to get him, go, do you know what? I'll prove you wrong. I'll get into that. I guarantee you, Bruno, there'll be chat about Bruno leaving again this summer and the World Cup coming up. And he's getting a bit older and he might fancy that.
We'll talk about that. I didn't think it was helpful for his brother to wear that.
No, it doesn't help.
It's social media, though, isn't it? Everything's for social media.
What did you think about...
It doesn't help.
Obviously, because he's come through the youth. You mentioned Garnacho before. I've seen the manager... I don't know who the players are, to be honest.
Harry Mass.
Yeah, he went after the academy players.
And he said he's struggling. I thought it was a terrible thing.
No, I thought it was strange.
Those lads put... I read, I didn't see they put stuff on social media.
Yeah, one of them put a picture on with like a trophy and one put one on scoring a goal for England.
I think he said Harry Mass basically had been hadn't done that well at Sheffield Wednesday. And then
he said struggling, didn't he?
Yeah, and Harry Mass, I think, posted out the next day, just won Player of the Month, I think, at Sheffield Wednesday or something like that.
And then one of them scoring for the 21s, I think.
I didn't think that was great. I didn't think that was great, to be fair, because I think young players at the club have to be supported and believed in and given opportunity. Now, if they're stepping out of line because they're not behaving correctly, I get it. But these lads are just, to be fair, trying to play the very best football and do the best. But I think on Kobbie, I've got some sympathy for Kobbie Mainoo.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think, to be fair, he was given a little... If my view on it, Roy, I understand what you're saying is about the fact...
Did he play against Grimsby?
I know.
No.
He did.
No.
He did.
Sometimes you get that opportunity in a cup match. We've seen it before at Man United. We always talk about players getting a chance. And I'm not going to judge a player on one game against Grimsby. No. Sometimes a player comes into the team, you go, the manager's got doubts about you. You're going to Grimsby are League Two. You show your quality to me. I don't care what else happens on the night, even if you get beaten, you show me your qualities. And when players turn up, let me tell you, and I've been a manager, and if a player turns up, and I'm not saying he did, and he just goes through the motions a little bit, you go, hold on a second, you think you're a player? Because you played a few games...
I'm not quite in that camp. But 2 reasons I'm not in that camp. One is that I think I've got some sympathy for players when they're not playing and they come into a team that's been wholly changed. I've got some sympathy with that. Secondly, I think if you're demoralised from a manager and you feel a manager's not feeling you, and I'd never had that, I have to be honest with you. I never had that at all in my career. So, but I know that lads that didn't get a feeling from a manager and a vibe from a manager, they were like, they went down and you lost them a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think Cobby's I think for me, on the pit about Bruno and Cobby, if the manager really wanted to play Cobby, what he would do, he'd play Casemiro here as a holding midfield player in a 5.
Cobby.
Sorry, and he'd play Cobby and Bruno in front of it as an example, and he'd get him into the team. And I think that most managers would look at Cobby and if you imagine you've got Mazraoui and Dalot playing in the football team, you're sticking with your system where you're putting Mazraoui and Dalot in and you're leaving Cobby Mainoo on the bench. I personally feel like you might be better off thinking, OK, well, let's get our best players in, but he's gone system over players. And I get that as well. I understand that from a manager's perspective, but he's actually never going to play Cobby because he's only going to play 2 in midfield with that system.
I'm a little bit... I can see both sides here, and yous are probably all different in that. For me, I played a lot of games for Liverpool, but my place was never like 100% secure until I was probably late 20s. So I was always having a fight for my position. Like every summer, hoorayed by someone in my position. That was it. You know what I mean? But I don't know what's going on the training pitch. But I know from my own head, and I go a little bit what Roy's saying, not so much on the pitch, but almost every day, I made it impossible to not be picked. I knew the person who I was competing with would not train like me or be like...
Even if it's somebody the calibre of Bruno, James.
No, but saying Bruno can be Casemiro. Casemiro's 30, what is he, 33?
But Karen, a like for like with you would be, let's say, for instance, Hippier's the right centre-back and Agger's the left centre-back. And basically, Rafa Benitez says it's Hippier or Carragher as an example when yours first brought in. You almost know you're not going to play. Now, if he's saying you can play in either position or you can...
I don't care what he would have said. What I'm saying, my point being is, so many managers, and think of all the teams, right, and we speak about this every season. This team, look at Liverpool now. Oh, he's actually going to be the centre forward. Virtus is going to play it. After a few games, it never ends up how you think it's going to end up because someone's out of form or someone gets injured or someone comes through. I'm just talking about my own, and I don't know Cobby Mainoo. He might be the best professional and a great lad, and he might be, banging his head against the brick wall. But I was in that position, not so much where a manager was always putting me sub, but where everyone was going, he's not playing this season. He's not about me. And I'd be like, I am. And I knew, not ability-wise, because the people who come in, who I'm taking my place, was like a Marcus Babbel, German international, Christian Ziege, German international, Steve Finnan, great full-back at Fulham. It wasn't so much the centre-backs, it was more the full-back areas. And I wasn't an amazing full-back, I was a decent full-back. But I knew mentality-wise and sort of like every single day they wouldn't be able to compete with me. They wouldn't. And I look at Cobby Mainoo and he's up against... But you're saying Bruno.
His brother's saying free Cobby Mainoo because they obviously feel trapped, don't they?
No, I get that. But what I'm saying
is... It's bizarre, isn't it?
Every day.
He's trapped.
But what I'm saying, he feels trapped in football.
I saw Mainoo play for England against Ireland when he started doing well. He played against Ireland in the Nations League, wasn't it? Did you do the game? You must have done a game, right?
We've done it.
And I watched him. England were much stronger than Ireland. This was in Dublin. And it was easy. There was 2. I think he was taken off after about 60.
Rice, right?
Yeah. He was taken off after about 65. And I was looking at him. I watched these young players, see how they're doing at United, and they're making noise. You go, yeah, I just kind of watched him closely, quality player. But I did look at him, and he was taken off after about 6. The game was over. England were cruising, literally. And he took about 10 minutes to walk off the pitch. And by that, I mean, I was like, get off the fucking pitch. It was like it was a testimonial. He's just a young player making his way in the game. I know I might be nitpicking at stuff here, but I'm just trying to pick up traits of a footballer. And not long afterwards, he done loads of photographs and modelling stuff. Now, I know players done that with us. Beck's done it, but Beck's was doing that after maybe 100 games. Giggsy. They weren't doing it after 6, 7, 10 games. So these are little things I might be looking at going, well, I'm sure maybe the club's looking at it, and I'm sure the manager may be looking at it. And we're saying he might be the greatest pro ever. He might be a great pro. So if you're a manager working with a player and he's showing these little traits, and when I said he took about 10 minutes to walk off, I mean it took him about 10 minutes. A young player like that, I'm going, just get off the pitch. He was applauding for about 10 minutes. Might have beaten Brazil, like much stronger than Ireland. So these are little things I've picked up and gone, Cobby, you've got a lot to do yet, pal. What age is he?
Was he 20?
He's only young.
21.
But he's
21. And are you telling me he can't sit there another 6 months? You said that he's not making his way. He might think the manager might be gone this summer. 1 or 2 of the senior players.
20 years.
Yeah. He's 20 years of age. What's wrong with sitting and learning your trade? And even if you're not getting a chance, again, I go back to football. We've all had to do it at different levels. I'm sure Ferguson at some stage doubted you. Eric Carson. There'll be some times where a manager's on your case. And what you have to do is you have to look at a manager and go, I'll prove you wrong. Jamie makes the point that he never felt he was a regular at Liverpool. He never was going to be... I never felt that at Man United. I never felt I just turn up every week and I'm going to... Every day is your challenge to prove to the manager. And again, when that manager's picking a team on a Thursday or Friday, I'm going to train like a beast. And when you're writing that team, you go, he has to play.
Yeah.
He's got to get that in his mindset. I have to... And when he's got an idiot of his brother doing all that... Well, that's... We shouldn't even be giving his brother the time of day. Because sometimes you're surrounded by idiots, aren't you?
But Roy, you
especially
can have a manager, though, that doesn't give you... Like, I get what you're saying about these players coming in.
Just to add to your point quick, remember, as soon as he's come in, he's recognised, I don't want Kobe in my team. So, as soon as he's come, he said that right.
No, that's what I mean. I think.
But then you should get in the team.
Yeah, but up to this point, we've not heard from Kobe. He's bad in training, this and that. He seems to be getting on.
No, I agree. He's turned up straight away, Roy.
When you're saying about managers, I feel like you were allowed to have that fight with the players that's coming. I've been the other side where a manager is just not having you. Yeah. You work your arse off every single day. You do everything right, and they don't even allow you to have that fight to get in. And I feel like that's happened.
We had Bex on here earlier season. We're talking about Bex, an amazing player. And he's getting bombed up by managers. Capello, and he trained with the reserves. And Capello was saying, he proved me wrong. He showed me what a good lad he was, if you remember that.
Real Madrid.
So, mate, who's got to do that?
Yeah, but that doesn't always happen, does it? A manager,
but doesn't stop you trying. I get it. And if it doesn't happen,
but we don't know he's not trying.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We don't know he's not trying because we're not hearing. His brother's put that on and it's not helped him.
No, there's no evidence that he's not training.
This is the thing.
Are you coming after the match and your brother? Did your brother ever do that?
No.
If my other brother done that, you'd be looking going,
what are you doing?
You know what I mean? You would. And do you know what? Do you reckon his brother done it without asking him? He's under contract. He's on a...
He's only played 190 minutes this season against Grimsby.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. And how did that go?
No, my point is, though,
sometimes that's the only one you get. But you take it.
Listen, I'm with you, Roy.
You're not going to win this one.
If you're coming back on the bus after Grimsby, I'd love to be on that bus with United players and they're sitting there or whatever and you're going, we've just lost it from Grimsby. And you've had that opportunity. And someone says, you're not going to get a chance for another 6 months. I don't expect to get another chance for 6 months, but I can't beat Grimsby.
We will disagree on stuff like that because I've said before, when you make 6 or 7 changes in a game, and which they did, I always think it's really difficult for that team to come in and hit the ground running. And look, they should have beat Grimsby. No excuses around that.
You don't say, Gary. You think United should have beat Grimsby, yeah.
But it wasn't all on Kobe. They were all crap.
Exactly. Thank you.
They were all terrible that night. They were all shocking.
Yeah, but when everyone else is terrible, Gary, you make sure you're good. Because let me tell you, it's very easy to be good in a bad team. So you rise above that.
Do you want to put your hat on?
Get him a Grinchy hat. Where's it?
Do you want to pull a cracker? Come on.
You know what?
Come on. Fucking hell.
I'm telling you. Do you know what? We defend the players well too much sometimes on here.
No, but like we have to know the whole story of everything, though, because I still believe.
Is he grating on you?
As much as
last point on United.
Good.
Last point.
An hour later. Yeah.
No. Last point. This was the positive United chat. Bruno Fernandes said that he felt that the club were willing to sell him in the summer, and that he basically said he was going to stay. I think we sort of knew that, but he's confirmed it in the last 24 hours.
You know what? When I the quote, was that something you done in Canal Plus or something?
Yeah.
Canal 11.
Yeah.
When you
it's always fun with them stations.
You know, when they go abroad and they think no one knows it.
Doesn't matter if it's on there.
No, but what is, you know, but you have to say it comes back down to the Manchester United like indecisiveness in respect of someone's come in for Bruno, you shut that down because Bruno didn't want to go. Bruno's saying that they said to him, "Well, it's up to you if you want to leave." Yeah. That's not what you want to hear from someone like him who's literally holding the club up himself. You want the club to say, "You're not going nowhere. You're a massive part of this." Man United didn't do that. They gave him the opportunity to say, well, if you want to stay, you can stay, but if you want to go, you can go. What's that saying?
Maybe
I'll take him tomorrow.
Maybe they wanted to sell him to bring Copy in.
I feel like I have to commend him on kind of the handling of that situation, like specifically in that press conference, because I feel like there is a lot of managers out there, maybe of years gone past, that if they had seen something like this, because I want to show the picture of the T-shirt, if they had seen something like that, it's just one of those where you go, well, why has that happened at a club like Manchester United? How are we at this situation? I mean, Merce, how have you found, obviously, the handling of the Kobbie Mainoo situation?
He's not playing. Something's going on. I don't know how he trains. I know he trains, but he's being kept out of the team by Casemiro, So, no disrespect to Casemiro, who's been phenomenal at Real Madrid, but hasn't pulled up too many trees. He's been steady, and he's being kept out of the team by him. You know, so something's going. You know, we don't see everything in training. You know, I'm a great believer. If you're good enough, you'll play. It's as simple as that. You know, and the manager works with these players day in, day out. They watch them. They watch them walk down to the training ground. They see what time they get in the training. They see who's going out on the training pitch going, you know, I'm going to show you, I'm going to play. We never see all that. We just see T-shirts, people wearing T-shirts, you know, free, you know. He's at Man United. He's at Man United. He's in the squad. He's at one of the biggest clubs in the world. They're not the biggest team in the world. They're still one of the biggest clubs in the world. His brother's sitting there with a T-shirt on like he's doing 20 years in prison. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. If I was Kobe, I would have rung up his brother and said, "What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me?" You know, and then people think they have the right. He's got to work himself back into the team, work himself, not want to go out on loan. Why would you want to leave Man United?
To play more.
To play more, but you're not.
He's not going to play more there.
But he's got to make sure he plays more. He's got to make sure he's making it too easy. Where's he going to go? He's going to go and play in front of 20, 30,000. Plays in front of 75,000 every week. He's got to make the right to get in the team. Get in the team, like he come on a sub and done well, and I like him as a player. But he's got to get in the team. Something's going on for them to be on a run like they've been on over the season and him not get a game. There's got to be a reason. And if it's the manager and the manager don't like him, then the manager's is wrong. Because you can't treat people like that. You know, you've got to be honest and say, right, I'll get rid of you. But he's only behind one player, Casemiro. He's not behind 10 players. He's behind one player.
He's not playing in the reserves. He's on the bench. He has his chance.
He has his chance, and he's playing against him. That's all he's playing against. You know, I know where I'd be staying. I'd be going, I fancy myself to get in front of him. But the manager's got to ask him, the manager's got to give himself an honest question. Am I being true to him? Or don't I fancy him as a player?
What did you make of it? I think there's T-shirt,
I think there's a way for Amorim to play more, for sure. Even if he thinks that Casemiro is a more defensive-minded midfielder, which is true. Kobe Mainu, in terms of defensive awareness and things like that, I don't think Kobe can do the work that Casemiro is doing. But I think there's also moments where you could play Casemiro and Bruno and Kobe Mainu together. I don't understand that rigidity in Amorim's system and tactics of like, no, it's Casemiro and Bruno and there's no space for anyone else. No Ugarte sometimes maybe, no Kobe Mainu, no one else. It's that or nothing. And when Casemiro comes off after an hour in every game, they crumble. And that's why the second half performances have been so bad this season compared to the first half performances. So I think for me, caused Kobe Mainu a lot because Amorim's rigidity within that system and within the double pivot of Bruno and Casemiro means that for him nobody else can come into the discussion, which is wrong, I think. But I'm not sure he's going to play more. So if he wants to play more, if he wants to go to the World Cup with England, he has a chance. If he can't get more minutes at United, whether this is right or wrong, he needs to go somewhere else where he will get minutes and Tuchel can see him and then hopefully getting that 26-man squad to the World Cup.
Do you think there's a way back for him at Manchester United, given now this situation?
Only if tactically there's a bit of an evolution and variation from Amorim, which we've seen a little bit against Bournemouth, a little bit against Wolves, but maybe not enough to almost say to Kobe, you're going to play more, because right now I don't see it changing.
There was something else that Amorim was asked about, and it was he spoke about before in a previous press conference about Chido Obi Martin saying that he would, and he was saying after the players kind of posted stuff on social media, taking a stab at it, he said there's almost an entitlement issue at the club. What did you make of that, Mas?
Yeah, I'm with him there. I'm a great believer. If you're good enough, you will play. You will play. It's as simple as that. If you're good enough, if you're not good enough and you're not better than the players that are playing, you won't play. We've seen people, you've seen Max Downing at 15 play for Arsenal because he's that good. And we'll see players, and we'll keep on seeing players, Jack Wilshere's and people like that, and the young kid at Liverpool, Rio. Good player. On the bench all the time, come in and done well.
Get your head down, work.
Get your head down, work hard. He's right what he says. Because you're at an academy and you're doing well and you're ripping up in the under-21s, that's never been a league. It's never been a league. All these kids are playing against you. But this needs to change again, in my opinion. Years ago, you used to have the reserves combination. You're playing against people. You're playing against other professional footballers. You go and watch under-21s games now. These under-21s have been playing against each other since they were 8 years old.
That's the only country, by the way, in Europe like this.
Yeah.
Everybody else,
Honestly, and they just pass it and they pass it. And it's not the same. And you've only got to look when they play in this Football League trophy. They play against teams that get smashed 4s and 5s and 3s. You know, they've got to work hard. You don't have... Because you score 3 goals in the under-21s, there's the shelf, the Premier League playing... Trying to get into the Man United team, even though they're middle of the table, is still so hard. You've got to work hard. Surely that's not them kids posting that. Surely that's someone, their agents or someone, surely. And they're not doing them any favours. No favours.
I didn't know. It's the only league that do it that way.
Everywhere else, in France, in Germany, in Spain, your reserve team, so usually the kids...
back in the reserves,
will play against first team of other clubs that are just in that second or third division.
Yeah. I think for United now, they've had those opportunities as well. There's part of me where I watch Man United and I think, they do look better and they're close. And they always come that game of like, if we win here today, we could push into that top 5. Do you think a European spot is... Do they have the capability of getting it?
You know what? I liked watching Man United the other night. For the first time, the first 20 minutes, I thought they were outstanding. I thought they were all over Bournemouth. You know, all of a sudden, Mason Mount gives the ball to Shaw. Shaw's a bit relaxed, and they score. The defender's only the young kid, Heaven. He's got to come across. This goal's phenomenal. Yeah, very good. You know, we won't talk about it now, but Salah got absolutely slaughtered for saying he threw the club under the bus. He threw the club under the bus this week. What he said, bang out of order. But they were good but they're like Chelsea. They have a good 20 minutes and then have a bad 25 and then have another good 10. But I love watching them. There's something changing there. There's something changing.
Yeah.
I hope the manager gets it right. I do like the manager. Just got to be a little bit more flexible, a little bit every now and then.
And more control. Because I don't know if we will see the Bournemouth 4th goal. When you're...
Creepy.
Yeah, when you're 4-3 up, Old Trafford, when you need to win badly... You've led already 3 times in this game, and then you gave away that goal like they did so cheaply at that time because there's just no control in the game. You're still trying to attack.
But I think the fans even felt like it was an inevitability that they were going to concede that goal.
Yeah, but that's when you leave Casemiro and then bring Manu on and play him and Fernandes in front of him, and they'll just control it or play, or even bring Mason Mount into the middle and they can keep the ball. You know, you need good footballers at certain times in the game just to keep the ball. And then when they chase the game and you're still solid at the back, you can pick teams off and they would have gone on and won.
Yeah. Well, on Sunday, United go to Aston Villa, who are trying to prove they can make their title challenge last. We asked our Tactico Pythagoras in boots to look at the way Unai Emery sets his side up to try and create chances.
Yes, the numbers say that Villa in the bottom 10 for XG generated, and the narrative has been it's the efficiency that's masking a side that's eventually going to run out of steam. But Villa aren't built to overwhelm teams, they're built to execute moments. They operate deep, they're one of the narrowest teams in the league, and they're comfortable conceding territory. But when chances arrive, they're ruthless. 4th for shot conversion in the Premier League. Now, that's not luck, that's design. One key reason behind that strategy is Morgan Rogers, someone who thrives in transition and provides cutting edge. He started the season quite slowly, but since his England performances, he's grown into form. He's now up to 8 goal contributions. He's Villa's primary ball carrier, top 5 in the league for distance covered, and his relationship with the fullbacks is crucial. Because Villa play so narrowly, the width has to come from Digne and Matty Cash, and Cash in particular ranks highly for passes into the box and crosses, and his relationship with McGinn just highlights that the chemistry between inside midfielders and fullbacks is crucial to this Villa side. One underappreciated aspect of this Villa team is how quickly they build from back to front. They don't build up slowly, they're excellent at escaping pressure. Konza and Pau Torres are extremely comfortable stepping in, carrying the ball and breaking the press. Pau Torres in particular is elite at it. Once those centre-backs quickly find those inside midfielders, Villa can flip defence into attack very quickly, which is why they're in the top 5 for direct attacks in the league. Then there's the game management from the bench. Unai Emery changes structure depending on the scoreline, and players like Daniel Marlon, Buendia have been really decisive as substitutes, turning average performances into results. Another unsung hero has been Emi Martinez.
Ya saltan 1K y el barrio. Es determinante cuánto daño puede hacer el conjunto de 1K, sobre todo con Granero en esas primeras de cambio en la salida de escalera. Así que esa parte del partido va a ser absolutamente clave para el equipo de Iker Casillas. Por cierto, felicitar porque ha venido una buena afición de 1K.
Tiene las pelotas, Gerard Noya encara, sigue Noya, Noya dispara, Arnalot.
80 paradas
ya para Arnalot. Gil Vidal ataca desde la derecha el número 9. Gil Vidal con el centro. Buena pelota. Arché. Con la rodilla le pegó. Pues es el que desatasca un poco el partido, ¿no? Con centros. Ojo ahí a ese golpeo. El remate. ¡Gol! Marc Valiente. ¡Gol! Del Barrio. Marca Marc Valiente. Esa banda izquierda que es terreno de los cañonazos de Granero, a la que tengo un mínimo de espacio, le pega Granero. Bueno, pues es decirlo, y ahí lo tenemos. El tema es que el remate le ha salido centrado. Abraham, buena pelota, banda derecha. Vamos a ver qué hace ahí Fran Rodríguez. Se mete en el área, sigue Fran. ¡Qué bien, Fran! Se va de dos, el remate fuera.
¡Chicos!
A ver si acierta. ¡Claro que
Mira
sí!
que...
Busca el Barrio el segundo gol. Arché. Arché para Gil. Gil que le puede pegar a este Gil. Buen recorte. Gil al palo. ¡Le manda Arché!
¡Dios!
¡No!
Madre mía, qué parada. Y a centímetros del remate, ¿eh?
No, la reacción ha sido impresionante. ¡El disparo! ¡Madre de Dios! ¡Otro que vuela! ¡Otro más! Que está la pelota para John de la Cruz, la quiere levantar, vuelve a pegar la pelota en el cuerpo de un jugador del Barrio, el remate con la puntera y acaba deteniendo al Gerard Vacas. Será córner favorable a 1K. Bueno, a ver.
Gol doble.
Gol doble. A ver, saque de banda. Balón puesto en movimiento, intentaba rematar Marc Valiente, el remate, ¡gol! ¡Bauer! ¡Gol!
Y es
penalti
¡madre
normal.
mía lo de los penaltis!
Penalti normal. Y el que quiere hacer el 0-3 es el número 4, pega Valiente. ¡Vaya cañón! ¡Gol! Ahí están Arnalot y Vacas como candidatos, como guardametas, y también Marc Valiente y Pau Ferojo la recuperación. Tiene la pelota al Barrio que puede sentenciar el remate. ¡Gol!
Knockout.
¡Gol!
¡Let's go, Barria! Ponme el 5, ponme el 5, ponme el 5.
El cambio del partido ha sido radical en los últimos 10 minutos. El balón que lo tiene. ¡Ojo!
¡Ay! Jaimitada.
Marca de nuevo el Barrio, gol de Fran Fuentes. El equipo de Juan Arroita, que no ganaba un encuentro con esta tranquilidad, entre comillas, al final, con un margen tan amplio, con 2 goles dobles que han hecho pasar el partido del 0-3 al 0-7.
Paufer, ha costado, pero por fin ha llegado esa victoria tan deseada con goleada.
Ha costado mucho, pero bueno, le damos emoción hasta el momento final, recta final, y ahora, pase lo que pase con Pío, nos lo jugaremos contra ellos.
Eso te iba a decir, pase lo que pase con Pío, la semana que viene, o ellos, o tú, o tu ex equipo, o tú.
Bueno, o el Barrio o ellos, pero sí. La vida, yo qué sé, no sé, son cosas muy raras que suceden, pero ahí estaremos. Ahora estoy en el Barrio, así que espero que gane el Barrio.
Enhorabuena y a disfrutarlo.
Gracias.